update for MeteoMark weather. We're going to dive right into the weather for much of the nation. Here's a look at some photos here from Cleveland, Ohio. Kyle Kinkoff. Thank you, Kyle, for sending these in. Nice blue sky, cumulus clouds. Here's some wispy cirrus type clouds here in the second photo. And the third photo you can see very nice wispy cirrus clouds, usually signifying that a system is usually to the west of an area. And you can see that, very nice. And here's some tree growth. In Cleveland, we're slowly getting the buds on the trees, and they're slowly opening up. So thank you, Kyle, for sending those in. And I'm going to start out with one of my own here. Let's take a look at, actually I'll show you two today. Here's a purple flower that's outside the MeteoMark studios here. Here's a macro shot that I did of this flower. I'm not exactly sure what it's called, but it comes up every year. And of course here is another one. I believe this might be a tulip, and I have a few of these around the area, and this one caught my eye here. So a nice red tulip. Alright, everyone send your photos in, whether it be springtime photos, nature photos, cloud photos, thunderstorm photos, whatever they may be. Let's get right into what I'm really going to focus on is the southeast right now. And of course in Southern California they're dealing with a lot of wildfires, and that pattern is going to continue, that dry pattern in Southern California. Also, we're going to look at the flooding. So we got two extremes, California wildfires in Southern California, and we've got flooding in the southeast. Let's take a look at some of the 48-hour quantitative precipitation amounts through Sunday, 9 p.m. We're looking at the lion's share of the rain here across much of the southeastern states here. We're going to look at northeastern Florida, Jacksonville, on up to Atlanta, and then extending over towards Athens, Greensville, and over to Augusta, and down to Savannah. These areas, and even up towards the mountains of Tennessee and western North Carolina. These areas could be looking at 4, 5, 6 inches plus inches of rain over just the first to middle part of the weekend. And I'm going to show you that this system is really going to stall over the southeastern states, and this could be a very dangerous situation for flooding across much of the area. So let's get right into what we're looking at here for the scenario. We're looking at looking into Saturday here, and the low pressure does not move much. We got the first low here over just east of the Mississippi River Valley, the second low down here over Florida, and these two lows with a trough will combine to create this convergence in the atmosphere, which creates that lift in that area for heavy rain. The heavy rain axis extending from northern Georgia, possibly southeastern Tennessee, over towards South Carolina, and eastern Georgia, northeastern Florida. These are the areas Saturday we're going to be looking at torrential rains. The rivers are still trying to deal with last weekend's flooding, that we got those heavy rains 4 to 5 inches last weekend. So this is going to add insult to injury across much of the southeast here. It's the rain and the snow begin to wind down across the upper Midwest here. We'll only be left with spotty drizzle, scattered showers. It'll be kind of cool and chilly across this area, but much warmer than what you've seen it. Here in the Northeast, that blocking high you can see for Saturday, and it'll last into Sunday too, will keep the Northeast dry and very warm. We're looking at 70s for the rule for this weekend, with 60s in the mountains. Here, and this is pretty much the theme for the Central Plains here. Conditions will be slowly drying out, and we'll slowly get a warming trend across that area. Now we're looking at Sunday here, and this system continues to just sit in the same area. You can see the same areas getting torrential rains. Northern Georgia, eastern Georgia, down to northeastern Florida, and extending over towards South Carolina, and maybe up into the mountains here of Tennessee. We're going to be looking, especially the southern Appalachians, we're going to be looking at a potentially dangerous situation here, and things start to really warm up here in the plains. Conditions remain very warm and dry in the northeast. And looking on into the day on Monday, it's not changing. In fact, this low cannot move to the east because, first of all, it's not being picked up by the jet stream in the northern states here. And second, since it's not being picked up by the flow pattern, the main high over the northeast is not allowing this system to move up to the northeast like it would normally do. So we could be dealing with this system very much through much of next week, and people in these areas in the southeast, northern Georgia, eastern Tennessee, western North Carolina, South Carolina, and extending down towards northeastern and northern Florida, could be looking at a prolonged period of torrential rains and flooding. So be aware of that. And we're going to be looking at here the conditions in Southern California here. As you can see, actually let me step over here, Pacific Ocean side. You can see these are the with a forecast wind gusts across the area during the day on Saturday, and it won't be quite as gusty, but it's still pretty bad, and the dew points are still going to be fairly low and fairly warm, and I'll show you that on the temperature map. Let's take a look at temperatures across the nation, the whole nation as a whole. Nice and warm here, toasty Saturday and Sunday in the northeast, 70s for the most part, most of the east coast 70s. And then here in the heartland and down and through the southeast, we'll get cooler temperatures in the 50s, maybe some 40s up here in the Midwest, and some 60s here across Florida, with northern Florida and South Carolina, North Carolina with the rain. And out here in the plains, we begin to slowly warm things up after that major blizzard that we had. And out west here, you can see conditions remain very dry across the west coast, especially for Southern California with those wildfires, and quite toasty. So we're not looking at much rain out west. We continue on later into the weekend and into early next week. We get this moderating trend across the entire eastern two-thirds of the country, and even the west for that matter. West stays really warm. So conditions will be very moderated across much of the area starting next week as we head into May, and that May sun really works on the land. That's what we're pretty much looking at for much of the area. I will have further updates, especially over the weekend or into early next week, about hurricanes. I'm almost done with my hurricane forecast. That's going to do it for MeteoMark. Like me on Facebook at MeteoMark. Subscribe to me on YouTube at MeteoMark.com. Website MeteoMark.com. Here's a 4-day forecast for my hometown viewers from Binghamton to Elmira and the northern tier counties of Pennsylvania. We're looking on clear pretty much Saturday, Sunday clear, Monday clear, Tuesday clear. We're looking pretty much nice overnight lows, nice and good sleeping weather, upper 30s to lower 40s pretty much each night, 39 to 42 depending on your hilltop or valley location, and temperatures will be in the mid 70s. That's going to do it for MeteoMark.